So can I get your first and last name, please?
Noah Escudero,
And what position do you play?
tight end,
And what high school do you go to?
Cleveland High School.
State champions, man.
Yes, sir.
What a way to cap off
Yes,
your
sir.
Storm
Yes,
career.
sir.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling great. All the work that we put in since January, and being one of the senior leaders on the team and mentoring all the young guys. It feels great knowing that we can protect the tradition like every team before us has, and we hold ourselves to the same expectations that every single team before us has.
And then you've done this whole football thing alongside your brother. I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
you won a state
Yes, sir.
championships with your
Yes,
brother.
sir.
How does that feel?
It's great. Not a lot of people get to experience that. Even get to play with their younger brother, but really getting to get this bonding time with him, and really grow together as on the same team, and grow and play the sport that we love together. That my parents taught us, and it feels great. It's definitely a cool experience.
And there's so many strengths on this Storm squad, but
Yes,
something
sir.
I feel like doesn't get enough love is the trenches,
Yes,
man.
sir.
The blocking that you guys
Yes,
do,
sir.
especially in 12 personnel, the
Yes,
work
sir.
that you and Noah Valor do. So can you talk about what it's meant like to kind of, playing on the same field as Noah Valor and then kind of going off as like those 6 guys
Yes, sir.
that block and lead the way for guys like Sammy Bustillos and
Yes,
Evan
sir.
Yanez?
It's great, right? Me and Noah put in the work. Sometimes we go unnoticed. That's what it is, right? But we put in the work, and we love seeing our teammates succeed. And we get our love too. We both had 2 or 3 touchdowns this year, right? So we get some love as well. So I love getting down to the trenches and getting down and dirty, though, for sure.
And then
Sure.
can you give me some of your top memories off the field, just in all your whole entire high school career? I was like maybe going to Tap and Taco
Yes,
after a
sir.
game or a long road trip, or maybe somebody getting you guys in trouble in
Yes,
practice.
sir.
You guys got to do some extra maybe that stick out.
I think definitely the road trip down to El Paso was one of my favorites. It was a longer road trip, but we definitely got a lot of good bonding time. Went down there and took care of business. But just being able to play with all my brothers and stuff like that, right? Just since I was 6 years old, just being able to play with all of them, and that's that. I'm never going to forget that ever.
And then the last thing is just what advice can you give to any of those Storm guys? I'm talking about the guys that are in like Mountain View Middle School, 8th
Yes, sir.
grade, Rio Rancho Middle
Yes,
School,
sir.
8th grade. They're going to be coming in here next year, joining Robert
Yes, sir.
Garza's program. What
Yes,
advice
sir.
can you give them?
Just get ready to work. Get ready to put in everything you've got every single day. Be ready to sacrifice everything you've got, right? They take care of you, but at the same time, you got high expectations to hold and, tradition to protect.
And I know you got a ton of offers on the table. So
Yes,
first
sir.
off, congratulations on
Yes, sir. I
that.
appreciate that.
Go
Yes, sir.
ahead and enjoy this win, and
Yes,
then
sir.
congrats again.
Thank you.